Awesome. Distinguished guests, firefighters, and families and friends, thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. I am truly humbled and honored to be asked to offer up a few words for tonight's keynote address. As some of you in the room already know, I offer up what I like to call leadership grenades. Every now and again, with the hope of fostering positive, professional, and insightful discussion. So I've come prepared with a few new age frags that usually don't produce too much shrapnel, but I can't promise anything. Tonight, as we break bread and enjoy the fellowship with one another, please allow me to hopefully get the dinner table discussion flowing. Leadership, seeking continuous improvement, and legacy is what is on tonight's menu. Most of us in the fire and emergency services would agree that leadership matters, and it is vital to the successful outcome of any one person or organization. We could also agree that so many so-called leadership gurus and fire service personalities are out there on the speaking circuit pontificating their tricks of the trade. There is certainly no shortage of people instructing or promoting their how-to guide to get people to accomplish tasks that they want them to achieve. It can also be said that the old adage of setting the example is only half of the algebraic equation. So if we as leaders are challenged for solving for X, what is the correct formula? The answers may be a lot simpler than we may think. In order to set the example, we as leaders must first be the example. I'm certain that there is much to agree upon with the qualities and traits that are necessary to exemplify true leadership. It would be futile to try and list them all within tonight's discussion. So instead, let's focus on a few that we as leaders have direct control over every day: our attitudes, our behaviors, and our culture. Our attitudes directly control the temperature of not only ourselves, but everyone around us as well. Is it possible to maintain a positive attitude every time, all of the time? Of course not. We're human. And as such, there will be times when we have moments that we will surely regret if our attitudes are left unchecked. We must remember that we are in total control of how our attitudes are perceived. Is it okay for our people to see us angry, burned out, and cynical? I say yes. However, we must maintain our tact and bearing. For those of us who have served in the military, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's think about the fireground for just a moment. When things get hairy and the incident commander starts to lose their bearing by screaming on the radio, does this not set a specific course of actions into play? Tensions rise and errors may occur. Same goes for our leadership profiles. Be angry, however, remain in control. Do not take that anger out on others, especially those of whom we are leading. Our personal behaviors are always being watched. This is the holy grail of leadership. I take issue with the so-called leaders who say, I'm not here to be their friend. I'm here to make sure that things get done. As leaders, and as exemplified by the United States Navy SEALs, we must be focused on the team life. Does this mean that we have to be the most popular person on our platoon or within our organization? Of course not. If a leader has to tell you that they are the boss, they most certainly are not behaving like a leader. Collar pullers need not apply. Without recognizing the balance between getting the work done and being popular, a leader will simply create roadblocks to the leadership success and teamwork. The problem with being the popular leader, or better known as a charismatic leadership style, is this: the only people who will follow your lead are those who are like-minded and have a similar mindset, albeit either positive or negative in nature. Our behavior is directly correlated to our attitudes. Once the charismatic leaders are finished pulling rabbits out of their hats, their magic is gone. They're out of tricks. Being the example is ensuring that our own actions are not inviting the wrong type of critic. Let's face it, there are many critics out there just waiting for us to make an error in judgment. They lie in waiting like snakes in the grass, awaiting the opportunity to slither in and spew their venom. We see this all too often on the interwebs and on social media. Beware of the fire service rock star on social media. Their egos will soon reveal their true behaviors. The do as I say and not as I do mantra. The first thing a leader must declare is not authority because of rights, but authority because of relationships. Remember this, people will buy into the leader before they buy into his or her leadership. It's time for all of us to foster and develop better relationships. There seems to be a civil war in terms of the current climate in the fire service these days. There are a great number of people who wish to see improvement upon how we do business. Sadly, these transformational leaders are under attack for their vision. A leader's job is to look into the future and see his or her own organization not as it is, but as it will be. If we are to set a positive path forward, we must not lose sight of the culture that we are fostering. As aforementioned, the interwebs are bustling with the opinions of how things should be, but they're based off of anecdotal experiences. It doesn't take long to see the word aggressive used and misused over and over again as a badge of courage or a vindication of culture. I have a radical idea. How about we set a culture of aggressively taking care of those people who are in our charge? Could you imagine the possibilities if we were to develop our people within the organization to just simply be better people? If we were to develop our people, wouldn't a better crop of people who truly have improved personal skills be better for the organization as a whole? My good friend, Chief Steve Przborowski, suggests that we should hire for character and train for skill. And I couldn't agree with this anymore, my brother. Look for transformational leaders that are in the trenches. Look across the table from all of you tonight. Go ahead, look. Look at each other. All of you are within the top 10% of the fire service. We are all quietly serving or striving for self-improvement, but most importantly, setting a path for others to join us along the path, along the way. If you have been following my writings, hopefully a pattern has emerged. Surely I can teach you how to force doors. What I'm striving to do is firefighters to get themselves to seek continuous improvement. And I truly believe that it all starts with our attitudes, behaviors, and cultures. Don't focus so much on trying to set the example, simply be the example. There are plenty of leaders standing alone on a proverbial island. It has been said time and time again that the higher up the food chain we ascend, the lonelier we may become. Why is this so? Perhaps we may have lost sight of how vital our values and principles will transcend any leadership style. The subjectivity of the human condition when discussing values is evident and absolutely normal. The ideology behind our value systems has been cultivated in a timeless debate of nature versus nurture. The environment that we have been raised within as young children most certainly cultivates our lives as we evolve and grow into adulthood. This is where and when our values were cultivated. The roots and foundation are grown and poured to help us build our own unique values. There is a cumulative effect of exposure, again, either positive or negative, as we further develop our own values into these principles. Once we can identify what true morals, values, and principles are, we can place the purpose of them into the context of personal, organizational, and community involvement. Morals, simply defined, are a standard of behavior or beliefs concerning what is and what is not acceptable relating to principles or teaching a concept of right or wrong. Morals can be equally thought of as character. It can be further defined as the what we do when no one is watching us. Our moral compasses and character is what we held self-evident and display, which speaks volumes about our morals. Why do we make the decisions that we do? How do you know what is right and what is wrong? We can all agree that lying is wrong, yes? Yet so many of us do this with ease in many different situations. Sadly, the most egregious lie of all may be to ourselves. By not following our intuitive moral compasses, we may find ourselves lost and on the wrong path of self-righteousness. Once we can truly identify what our individual morals are, such as honesty, kindness, and empathy, we can build a solid foundation upon leadership principles. Style refers to the manner and methods that a leader uses to interact with other people, especially those whom they lead, and especially when making decisions. The morals that we exemplify directly correlates as to the why of our decisions. So now that we understand the why, let's translate the what and the how. The principles will affect how we practice personal and organizational leadership. Principles are the rules or laws that one has identified and accepted, which governs our own personal behavior. Once we can identify the foundational norms, values, and beliefs that represent what is desirable or positive for a person, a group, or an organization, we can communicate these principles into leadership actions. Such principles as integrity, tact, bearing, knowledge, and judgment, just to name a few of the many, are the how we will come into a decision crossroads intertwined with our morals. Hopefully, we can start to see a pattern, a continuum. It is at this crucial intersection that we must use our moral compass to guide us through and find the true north of leadership. As leaders, we can begin to outline personal and organizational principles, which in turn will develop a system of values to follow. Many people are searching for the holy grail of leadership. There is no singular method or equation for quantifying personal or organizational success. There is no magic formula. This is where developing a values and mission statement will help guide us on the right path, the path of continuous improvement. Values are the important and lasting beliefs of ideals shared by the members of a culture about what is good or bad, desirable or undesirable. Values have a major influence upon a person's behavior and attitude. They serve as broad guidelines in all situations. Such values as altruism, compassion, diversity, and generosity. Again, just to simply name a few. This is the one part of the aforementioned leadership continuum. This is a non-linear process. Our decisions are not meant to go from east to west, north or south. We as leaders must analyze the impact of our decisions as they pertain to our unique morals, values, and principles. These decisions will not only impact ourselves, but most assuredly impact the fire service as a whole. Oftentimes we may hear that the beatings will continue until morale improves. Many people will opine that morale is either non-existent or extremely low. One way to inspect this challenge is to re-examine the core values within an organization. Do the organizational values align with the values of the people who reside within it? Are the shareholders in concert with the organizational mission statement? If the answer is anything other than yes, it's time to break out our compasses and find true north yet again. Go back to the map, find our starting point, and retrace our steps. I firmly believe that analyzing our morals, principles, and values will help frame and build us as leaders in order to construct our personal mission statements. Otherwise, how will we know what the best decision is to make? If you have read my writings or attended any of my courses, you will have seen my personal mission statement. Together, we can lead, encourage, and motivate each other towards seeking continuous improvement while promoting emergency service excellence within ourselves and others, one day at a time. This mission statement was not developed overnight. The morals, principles, and values that were and continue to be ingrained with me are geared towards seeking continuous improvement in all aspects of not only my professional life, but my personal life as well. I offer you this challenge, and please be absolutely honest with yourselves. Try to understand who you truly are and the goals that you wish to accomplish personally and professionally. Jot these goals down one day. After some time, you will recognize that you have plotted the coordinates on the path to success. Guess what? If you don't already have a personal mission statement, you've just created a scaffolding or blueprints to build one. There is greatness within you. Simply identify the best version of you and then execute the plan. As Jocko would say, prioritize and execute. I would be remiss not to mention late Chief Alan Brunacini and the impact he had not only on me, but within the entire fire service. The ripple effect that has left a palpable effect throughout is undeniable. Chief Brunacini started the customer service mantra of helping Mrs. Smith. Although he was retired, he was still working on leaving behind a legacy. On a tragic day of his untimely passing, he was en route to a national conference. He was still in the trenches. He was doing it. It would have been very easy for the Hawaiian shirt-wearing king of fire service one-liners to simply enjoy his retirement and simply go fishing. Yet he continued to pour his passion into our profession. This speaks volumes to his character. He had a vested interest in each and every one of us. We owe it to him to keep the torch burning, to simply keep on keeping on, laying the next brick of our legacies. Tonight, as I close, please take a look around the table. Go ahead, look. We are the human side of the fire service. We are forging our legacies for future generations to behold. How can we ensure that we are the best example of a legacy? A legacy that all leaders need, seeking continuous improvement in all that we do on and off of the fire ground. Through developing and crafting our attitudes, behaviors, and cultures, we can leave this fire service better than we found it. We can leave a legacy behind that we can all be proud of. Thank you, God bless, and God bless America.